If you're not seated, please do so. My name is Audrey Adams. I am the Sweetgrass Veterans Club President. Today we are gathered here to embrace our fallen soldiers, both the men and women who have done the ultimate sacrifice for us to have the freedoms that we have here only in America. Before we proceed with our program, I have a few announcements to make. First of all, if you have not already done so, please silence your phones. Please keep our chatter to a low key and at a minimum. At any time that you feel that you need to sit during the program, please do so. Please take a moment to visit the memorial wall across the hall if you have not done so. And also, out in the front foyer is our missing man table. Please take the opportunities to go look at these. And for our veterans, it's appropriate to do a hand salute for American Legion, our pledge, taps, everybody else. Place your hand over your heart. If you get tired once again, please have a seat. Lastly, I would like for everybody to please hold their applause until the end of the ceremony. Now we're going to start off with the invocation by Sweetgrass Veteran Club, who is a veteran himself, our chaplain, Rick Steffen. Will you please stand and remove your hats?
Shall we pray? Almighty God, creator and sustainer of all life, we ask that your blessings descend on us this Memorial Day as we honor those who have departed this life. On this day, we also call to remembrance those who served in far-off places and laid down their arms to march into that land of eternal peace. We have just an additional moment of silent prayer to remember those who have gone before us, to those MIAs who never came home, to our Sweetgrass brothers and sisters who we have lost this past year. And please, please God, remember the families and friends of those we honor today. Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. At this time, D.F. Terry High School, JROTC Air Force will be presenting the colors.
Detail. Hold. White. Haste. Close. 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 Breathe in. Hum.
National anthem, please.
By the dawn's early light, was the brow
Order, halt. Left, haste. Forward, halt.
Now please be seated. Charlie and Gracie will lead us in the pledge.
All rise, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now you may be seated. The symbolism of the wreath that is about to be presented is an honor chime and symbol of remembrance and respect. The circle part of the wreath signifies eternity, unbroken gratitude, while the evergreen represents the lasting tribute for those who gave their lives in defense of our nation, as well as a pledge to never let the ultimate sacrifice that our nation has forgotten. For the presentation of the wreath, it will be presented by two of our veterans, the Madoga Veterans Club, Charlie Gracie, Major, Army, retired, and Mike McKinley, Staff Sergeant, U.S. Air Force. If you will all please stand at this moment. Almost hate to say it again. Please be seated. I would like to now introduce Ray Wathen, veteran and former former president of the Sweetgrass Veterans Club, and the author of the poem he's going to recite.
Thank you. This is for here. It's called Red, White, and Blue. I wave along parade routes before the cheering crowds, all those who bear me, who stand, by those who stand, who fail. I wave along parade routes before the cheering crowds, who stand as those who bear me pass them by. I lay folded in a mother's lap while taps echoes farewell. I catch her tears as she begins to cry. I fly over distant outposts in cold and barren lands, or battleships as on high seas they float. Individuals pledge me allegiance, those who know the price of freedom. Their words, oft from emotion, catch in their throat. I stand in solemn guardianship o'er graves of fallen heroes, whose families bear burdens of great sorrow. Yet in their wounded hearts there's pride, because those precious fallen gave all that I might stand tomorrow. There have been those who burned me, abused me, and misused me, misunderstanding what I represent, not knowing that for them also I proudly, silently stand, for their right to speak out in dissent. I wave proudly and stand guard, not just as some trite token, but as the symbol of men and women who see that where I am, a spirit dwells of freedom held so dear, and that such freedom is really never free. So when you see me, remember the principles I stand for of freedom, justice, equality that's true, and know that when I'm held on high, my red, white, and blue proudly waving, I'm only there because of and for you. Thank you.
Sweetgrass sings, will be singing for us now.
This is a sing-along, so please join us. Now, I would like to introduce our guest speaker,
Robert Heckler. He was a sergeant in the U.S. Army Infantry. He served with the 1/9 Cav, 1st Cavalry Division, served in Iraq from 2004 to 2005 for Operation Iraqi Freedom. He is also the Executive Director of Warriors Refuge. He's the Post Commander of American Legion Post 561 in Brazoria, also a member of the VFW Post 8576. Robert, will you please come up?
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great pleasure to be here again. This is not the first time I've gotten to speak in front of this great, amazing group of people. One of my favorite things about it is it's one place that I can go where my hearing aids are part of the uniform. So I greatly love it very much. So today we gather not for celebration but remembrance. Memorial Day is sacred ground for this nation. It's a day set aside to honor men and women who gave their lives in service to the United States of America. Men and women who laid down everything so that others could live free. Since the founding of our nation, more than 1.3 million American service members have died in war and military service. From the Revolutionary War to the Civil War, World War I and II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the countless conflicts in between. Every generation has been carried forward on the sacrifice of warriors willing to stand in the gap. World War II alone claimed over 400,000 American lives. Korea over 36,000. Vietnam over 58,000. The global war on terrorism added thousands more names to that sacred list. And behind every number is a son, a daughter, a husband, a wife, a father, a mother, a friend, and behind every folded flag is a story that ended too soon. And while statistics help us understand the scale of sacrifice, Memorial Day is ultimately not about numbers. It is about people. It is about names. It is about empty chairs at dinner tables, birthdays missed, children raised without parents, husbands and wives who never got to come home, and brothers in arms who still carry memories that time cannot erase. For many Americans, Memorial Day means long weekends, cookouts, and the unofficial beginning of summer, which is a great way to honor those who have fallen by celebrating with family and friends and enjoying the freedom of this great country provided for by great men and women who paid the price of that freedom. But for those of us who served, Memorial Day carries weight. It carries faces, voices, memories. It carries moments frozen in time that never really leave. For veterans, there are names that are forever etched into our hearts. Names tied to laughter in the barracks, long nights on missions, conversations that seemed ordinary at the time but later became memories we would cling to. Men we trained with, suffered with, and depended on. Men who stood beside us in fear, exhaustion, chaos, and uncertainty. For me, those names include men of the 1st Battalion, 9th Cavalry. Warriors who stood shoulder to shoulder during some ugly times in ugly places, doing ugly things so that innocent people could live another day. There's a bond forged in combat that words struggle to explain. It is built through hardship, sacrifice, trust, and shared danger. Those men become more than friends, they become brothers. Today I remember two of my close friends, Staff Sergeant Terry Prater and Specialist Kenneth Haynes, and many others from Task Force Headhunter of the 1st Cavalry Division. men of the 1st Battalion, 9th Cavalry Regiment, the Headhunters, men from Charlie Company, 153 Arkansas National Guard, who fought alongside us fearlessly in Baghdad, Iraq, 282 Field Artillery, and many other units assigned to our task force. These men who never made it home from the battlefields of Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom II, and a few who would lose their lives on later deployments. Men who laughed with us, fought beside us, carried burdens with us, and stood their ground in places most people will never see and could never fully understand. There is a saying that every man dies twice. The first time is when his body leaves this earth, and the second is the last time his name is spoken. Today we speak their names because they still matter. They still live in the hearts of the men who serve beside them. They still live in the freedoms they helped preserve. And they still live in the brotherhood forged through sacrifice. Today I remember my fallen comrades of Task Force 19, and I would like to share their names with you. I'm going to get through it, I promise. Staff Sergeant Terry Prater, Specialist Kenneth Haynes, Specialist Jeremy Hines, Specialist Jason Chappelle, Sergeant First Class Elvis Burden, Sergeant First Class Gregory Hicks, Sergeant Jack Hennessy, Specialist Josiah Vandertulip, Staff Sergeant Randy Rosenberg, Specialist William Sturgis, and Sergeant First Class Troy Miranda. And one special mention is one veteran that I did not serve with, is my brother-in-law, Sergeant Joshua Ward, who was killed in action in February 9th of 2009. And so many more brothers whose memory still walks with us every single day. I remember Terry Prater as a man who embodied leadership and strength. He was a friendly man who loved his family, had a huge sense of humor, and he loved fishing more than anyone else I ever met. He was a good soldier, a soldier. Terry was the kind of soldier you trusted in chaos and followed without hesitation. He carried responsibility the way great leaders do, not for recognition, but because he genuinely cared for the men beside him. In difficult moments, you could look at men like Terry and find confidence because you knew they would not quit. They would not abandon their brothers and would not fail to do what was right, even when it was hard. This was reflected in his actions in combat. During our deployment, Terry would earn a Silver Star and a Purple Heart for his bravery in battle. During a intense firefighting grenade attack, one of his men severely wounded, Terry covered the body of his wounded soldier, shielding him from a grenade blast and receiving multiple shrapnel injuries in the process. Terry would lose his life along with 4 others on a later deployment in 2007 as a result of an IED blast that detonated near his unit. I remember Kenneth Haynes as one of the men who could bring light into the darkest places, a brother who endured hardship with grit, loyalty, and heart, the kind of man who reminded you that even in the ugliness of war, humanity and brotherhood still survive. Men like Kenneth were reminders that behind the uniform was a real person, someone with dreams, with humor, family, and a future that should have been longer than it was. The truth is, every one of our fallen brothers carried a story. Every one of them had people who loved them. Every one of them left behind memories, laughter, plans, and purpose. And every one of them deserves to be remembered not only for how they died, but for how they lived. I had the privilege to serve alongside great men in ugly places during ugly times, in defense of this nation and each other. A quote that rings true for me every time I hear it is from Major Richard Winters of the 101st Airborne, in the Band of Brothers series when he quoted from a letter from a fellow soldier, Sergeant Mike Rainey from Easy Company, which said, "Grandpa, were you a hero in a war?" And he answered, "No, but I served in a company of heroes." Like Major Winters and Sergeant Rainey, I am no hero, but I served among many of them. This quote resonates deeply because so many veterans understand exactly what it means. We remember the men who volunteered to take the dangerous assignment, the ones who checked on others before themselves, the one who stayed calm when everyone else was afraid, the ones who made sacrifices nobody saw, the ones who never made it home. Those are the heroes we remember today. And Memorial Day should challenge all of us, not just veterans, to ask ourselves whether we are living lives worthy of their sacrifice. Because freedom is not free. It never has been. Every liberty we enjoy today was purchased by someone willing to stand on a wall and defend it. The freedom we often take for granted were secured by young men and women willing to leave home, endure hardship, and if necessary, give everything. Some paid that price on the beaches of Normandy, some in the frozen mountains of Korea, some in the humid jungles of Vietnam, and some in the deserts of Iraq and Afghanistan. Different generations, different battlefields, same sacrifice. As Americans, we have responsibility to remember them properly, not casually, not as a footnote in history, but with gratitude and reverence. We owe more than a moment of silence once a year. We owe remembrance. We owe honor. We owe support to the families who continue to carry the burden long after the war ends. To the Gold Star families, thank you. Your sacrifice did not end when your loved one died. You carried the weight afterwards. You carried the grief, the loss, and the silence that follows. This nation owes you a debt it can never fully repay. To my fellow veterans, especially those carrying memories that still hurt, know this: your brothers are not forgotten. Their names still matter. Their sacrifice still matters. And the bond we shared still matters. But I also want to challenge you. Continue to speak their names. Continue to tell their stories. Continue to serve. Do not isolate yourself and suffer silently. Do not carry your grief alone in the dark. Speak out so younger veterans can learn how to grieve in a healthy way and understand that they are not alone in what they carry. Let the sacrifice of our fallen brothers push you toward purpose, toward leadership, toward service, and toward living a life that honors them. The greatest way that we can honor those who never made it home is to make sure that their sacrifice continues to have meaning through the way that we live, the way we lead, and the way that we care for one another. That never leave. Some memories make you laugh. Some memories make you proud. And some still hurt after all these years. But one thing remains true. The men we lost deserves to be remembered for the courage they displayed and the love they had for the brothers beside them. That is what Memorial Day means to me. It's not just about remembering the dead. It is about honoring the lives they lived, the sacrifices they made, and the legacy they left behind, and those of us still carrying their memory forward. So today, let us slow down. Let us reflect. Let us teach the next generation what this day truly means. Let us speak their names. Let us honor their families. Let us never allow their sacrifice to fade into history or become another statistic. To the fallen, we remember you. To the Gold Star families, we honor you. To my brothers from 1st Battalion, 9th Cavalry, you are not forgotten. May we never forget the freedoms we enjoy today, that were secured by men and women willing to give everything for someone else. God bless our fallen heroes. God bless our veterans and our service members. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Bill Hill will be given a tribute with the old rugged flag.
Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather not just as a community, but as a family. A family brought together by service, sacrifice, and a deep love for this country. Right here in this Veterans Club, we're surrounded by men and women who have worn the uniform, who have answered the call, and have continued to support one another long after their time in service. This place isn't just a building, it's a living reminder of what dedication to a country really looks like. Every star and every stripe on our flag tells a story. And many of those stories are sitting right here among us today. Stories of courage, of hardship, of brotherhood, of sisterhood, and a commitment to something greater than ourselves. The song I'm about to perform was written by Johnny Cash and speaks of the strength of our country, of our nation, through every trial it's faced. The ragged old flag reminds us that this country stands tall because of people like you, the veterans, the family, and those who we honor today. So on this Memorial Day, in memory of those that we've lost and appreciation for those here today with us, this is the ragged old flag. I walked through a county courthouse square. On a park bench, an old man was sitting there. I said, the old courthouse is kind of run down. He said, nah, it'll do for our little town. I said, well, the old flagpole is leaning a little bit, and that's a ragged old flag you got hanging from it. He said, have a seat. And I sat down. He said, is this the first time you've been in our little town? I said, I believe it is. He said, well, I don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that ragged old flag. You see, it got a little hole in that flag there when Washington took it across the Delaware. They got powder burned the night that Francis Scott Key sat watching it and writing safe in the sea. And they got a bad rip in New Orleans with Pakenham and Jackson tugging at her seams. And she almost fell at the Alamo beside the Texas flag, but she waved on though. She got a bad cut with a sword in Chancellorsville. She got cut again at Shiloh Hill. There was Robert E. Lee and Beauregard and Brad, and the south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from a Bertha gun. And she turned blood red in World War II. She hung limp and low a time or two. She was in Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. She went where she was sent by her Uncle Sam. She waved from our ships upon the briny foam, but now they're about to quit waving her back here at home. In her own good land, she's been abused. She's been burned, dishonored, denied, refused, and the government for which she stands is scandalized throughout the land. And she's getting threadbare, and she's wearing thin, but she's in good shape for the shape she's in. Because she's been through the fire before, and I believe she can take a whole lot more. So we raise her up every morning. We take her down every night. We don't let her touch the ground. We fold her up right. On second thought, I do like to brag, because I'm mighty proud of that ragged old flag.
Raise the flags.
everyone sing America the Beautiful. So please join with us. Hopefully some of you have, we're going to do two verses, I think the first verse and last verse of America the Beautiful. So with Dean Jones' help.
Next, we will have Charlie Gracie, who has put together a video of the sounds of silence, and he would like to tell you a little bit about this video first.
We did this number about 2022, I think, and Art Callahan, our club historian, who is not with us today due to health issues, we pray for him. We threw together this video along with this particular song, but he chose not to have this song played. He wanted the singers to do it. So we got a group of singers together, and I wrote a score for that. They did a magnificent job. But this is the original video that we played, and I will warn you that some of the scenes are quite graphic and emotional. Toward the end of the video, there's a blank spot for a moment of silence. We've been having trouble with this thing all morning. I apologize. This was supposed to be an upgraded system. All right, we're going to abort this. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
On the guard will now retrieve the colors. Well, I guess they will not retrieve the colors. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to go ahead and continue on the test. I would like to thank BF Terry, ROTC, for posting the colors for us. And their lead instructor was Lieutenant Colonel Scott. It was a very moving and outstanding performance that they did bring to us this morning. I would like to take a moment and thanking a few people, especially those who've helped out so much with me on putting this program together for the first time with all the screw-ups. That was my part, though.
Audrey? We got it back.
And one more thing.
Take another shot.
Now, we're going to try it again.
Try it again.
What an awesome tribute. Once again, I'd like to thank the Sweetgrass team who made this all possible and who dedicated and bought the wreath for us. I want to thank Dean Jones, our PMs, the director of the Sweetgrass Singers, Mike Byron, and the Sweetgrass Singers for their beautiful music. Thank you, Bill Hill, for that moving tribute of this old flag, Ray Wathen, for a heartfelt poem, Charlie and Art for the video that they just showed, and of course, to our guest speaker for his inspiring words. I would like to conclude this Memorial Day ceremony. I hope it will always serve as a solemn reminder that all of us are here, that freedom was not free, and it never will be free. It has a horrible price, a huge price, by the brave men and women who courageously served this nation and gave their lives so that we, as Americans, may continue to live in freedom with the liberties, the hope, and the peace. I ask God to bless you all and to bless the United States of America. Thank you. You're dismissed, and like I said, please take the opportunity to visit our memorial walls across the hall and the table out in front of the